What's up, guys, and welcome back to On the Brink. Today I'm going to be looking at Tame Impala's album Currents. Released in 2015, it's the third studio album by Kevin Parker, aka Tame Impala. It was released on July 17th of 2015. Kevin Parker is Australian and is extremely talented. Today I'm going to be ranking the tracks off of the album Currents. It's an album that I've listened to for a few years now. It's an album that got recommended to me by a friend, my friend Grant, and I am so grateful that he did because it opened up a whole new world of Tame Impala to enjoy for me, and it's just awesome. And this album delves into a lot of cool themes and has a lot of neat tidbits and brings out experiences in my own life for me to think about. A lot of it's about romance, and a lot of it's about past relationships, things of that nature, and I find it very fascinating the way it makes me feel. It's interesting to note that this entire album was recorded solo by Kevin Parker, and he is a master at the instruments he plays. People describe his music style as psychedelic pop, lots of synth, a little bit of disco, some R&B. It's very interesting and very groovy. We're going to go track by track, and I'll explain my system of ranking. But there were 4 singles off of Currents. Let It Happen, which was released on March 11th, 2015. 'Cause I'm a Man, released April 7th, 2015. Eventually, released June 15th, 2015. And The Less I Know, The Better on November 29th, 2015. I believe there were 3 music videos done for tracks on this album. You got Let It Happen, you got The Less I Know, The Better, and 'Cause I'm a Man. So I'm a regular user of Spotify, and I have several playlists that help me to rank songs, and depending on how I feel genre-wise, or depending how I feel whether I want to listen to something I'm very familiar with and I love, or whether I want to discover something new, I've got everything ranked to stuff that I've had a lot of experience with, all the way down to stuff that I'm experimenting with and trying to listen to for the first time or what have you. So I have lists basically in a 3-tier system. It's greatest of all time, and then you've got like best of the genre, but maybe it's not quite greatest of all time, kind of a mid-range average good song. And then my last playlist is typically for songs that I'm not super familiar with, ones that I wouldn't really listen to on the regular per se. And then if I would never add a song to a list, I would not add the song to the list. So I don't really have like a bad song list, because I just feel like that's silly. Why would you listen to that? Unless it's for fun. I do have like a meme playlist. But if you follow me on Spotify, you can see my playlist and follow along, listen, check out what I'm listening to. But as far as this video goes, I will be ranking each track. And here we go. Let's start with track 1. Track 1, Let It Happen, is an extremely powerful opening to this album. I love this song so much. Without hesitation, I put it on my greatest of all time list. For sake of convenience, I'm going to call it the GOAT list. It's very goated. I really love this song. It's got so much complexity to it, and for an 8-minute track, approximately, it feels like 30 seconds. It is so quick every single time. Now, I'm not a huge dancer, like, at all. I hate dancing. I find it very awkward, and I'm kind of self-conscious. But I think if this song were to be found playing on a dance floor, I'd have a really hard time resisting getting out there and dancing to this. It is so fun. It's such a multi-layered and complex track that it doesn't drag at all. It's got such energy that builds by the end. Really keeps you, the listener, hooked the entire time, and always feels like truly an out-of-body experience. 10 out of 10 masterpiece of audio mixing and creativity. The music video is very interesting for this track. I don't really feel like it's super related to the lyrics, but I always find it very creative, and you should definitely check it out. A guy having all these crazy things, especially on an airplane. It's a very interesting, fun music video. It's very moving and surreal. dark and emotional. It's kind of funny and campy also. It's just kind of a neat final scene as the vibe of the track sends the protagonist of the video into a light in the clouds. I think the lyrics of Let It Happen are very powerful. It's about a person really feeling overwhelmed by their life and really trying to find their path, their guidance, their journey forward. And within the context of the album, I think it's kind of about relationships, bad relationships. So this person is trying to reconcile their feelings of wanting to let a breakup happen. At least that's how I interpret it, and going forward, that's how it's going to be. So if I make definite statements, understand it's my opinion, how I interpret it, and you are welcome to yours. But, I mean, the way it says all this running around, trying to cover my shadow, an ocean growing inside, now all the others seem shallow, nothing compared to what he feels about the decision this person's got to make feels as important. And the way it bears on his shoulders, he can really, really lose track of time and sense of his surroundings, because all of a sudden he's hearing an alarm. Oh, it must be morning. So he's been sitting there thinking about this all night. You can really tell it's wearing on his mind. He's in kind of a fight or flight mode, and it's kind of a haunting line to where he says, if my takeoff fails, make up some other story. If I never come back, tell my mother I'm sorry. That's heavy. You can really feel the weight of the pressure that's upon him as the lyrics get more hurried and more drastic. How he's sitting there considering the next ticket, get the next train, yada yada. He's trying to convince himself that he's ready to go, and by the end, you just feel that he truly is ready. Maybe he was ready all along, in fact. It's a great opening track, and I think it really sets up the rest of the themes for the rest of the album. Next up is track 2, Nangs. Nangs is an interesting track. If you don't know, Nang is a slang in Australia for nitrous oxide or laughing gas. Some people use those at parties or get-togethers, celebrations, to sort of feel silly, kind of get a little bit of a high. I don't personally recommend you doing that. I do not condone that, but that's what that is. I do think that what this track is saying is, look, here's this feeling. Here's how it feels through the music. The music is very vibey and woo, kind of silly, and really makes you feel like you inhaled some laughing gas. But the lyrics are so interesting. But is there something more than that? It begs the question, really, is there something more than doing that to yourself and just constantly going back to that? I do think that there is something more to life than just that. So I think Nings is a great track. I give it a 10 out of 10, and it's on my GOAT list. It's an amazing, fun song to listen to. Track 3, The Moment. The Moment's getting closer. I love the way this song has such a powerful energy. The moment he sings about is stronger than he knows how to be, and he just has no idea how to approach that moment. He knows it's coming, it's on the way. He wants to be ready for it. The storm clouds are closing in on him. But in the end, it's coming. There's nothing left to do. And I think in life there's so many moments like that, especially, big life-changing things like a breakup or just making a big decision in your life, leaving a job, taking a job, just anything that can cause you some anxiety, anticipation, like it says in the song, growing closer, and feeling like you just need a little more time. He's reassuring himself, telling himself it's going to be okay, don't cry. He could even be singing to somebody that's a loved one, maybe even to the person he's in a relationship with. Don't worry, we'll be okay, kind of a thing. Hold on and breathe if you can. That's deep, heavy stuff. Just like track 2, Nangs, track 3, The Moment, really has an immediate flood of electronic sound that enters your ears. And a lot of tracks from Kevin Parker, Tame Impala, are like this. It feels like constant waves of energy flooding into your brain, and I love that feeling. It's kind of like a brain tickler as the vocals and the drums come in and like the sound just becomes so full. It's amazing. Love these tracks every time they come on. The moment is like a raw emotion, like an anticipation and longing, hoping, determination. It's so multi-layered and haunting even. The sound is so striking, and it just really, truly makes me feel. Just like the first two tracks, track 3, The Moment, ends up on the GOAT list. In fact, The Moment may be my top song. We'll see by the end. Track 4, Yes, I'm Changin'. I love the duality in the lyrics of this song. It's something I have only really thought about right now. He's up again late, thinking. I love the beautiful poetic lyrics in this. The world my demons cultivate is where he's raging. So, in his thoughts, in his mind, he felt the strangest emotion, but it wasn't hate for once. So, he's noticing a change in himself. He's becoming more level-headed. He's trying to mature and grow and change. And if this person he's with wants to do the same, you can come along, he says. Life's moving, can't you see? There's no future left for you and me. I was hoping and searching endlessly, but baby, now there's nothing left that I can do, so don't be blue. It's a very mature take, realizing that sometimes you're just not right together as a couple. I love that he calls out people never change, but that's bullshit. They do. That is a very powerful, profound realization to have. And it's cool, the duality, like I mentioned. He's changing. It's like he's telling the girl, yes, I'm changing, I'm getting better. But yet he's not fully out and out telling her that he's ready to move on. This is his thoughts, is how I'm seeing it. He hasn't fully broken up with her, talked to her yet, but this is his preparation. This is him trying to talk himself into it. At least that's how I interpret it. He is changing, and he's about to make a huge change. So he's kind of telling her a half-truth, but then in reality, he really has changed too. So I love the way that that's written. The harmonies near the end are absolutely beautiful. I love the way the vocalizations are mixed and recorded. The whole track is fueled by the romantic feelings and thoughts, and you can really feel that in the music. The ending truly places me, the listener, into like a nostalgic memory of experiencing things related to plights and pratfalls of love's past. I think we've all got those, and sometimes it's fun to kind of peek back into that. Other times it's horrific, but in this case it's beautiful and kind of peaceful. So I consider Tame Impala to be kind of an electronic, kind of indie style, slow, easy listening. So I think I will place this song, track 4, Yes, I'm Changing, onto my playlist called Indie Pop, which may infuriate some people, but that's the best way I can organize my music and in a way that it works for me. Track 5 eventually might actually be a top contender for the top track. I think it is, in fact, my favorite off this album. Eventually starts as a slow build-up and becomes slowly one of the greatest sounds on this entire album. Pure music magic. I don't know how he does this, but it is incredible, mind-blowing. When like the eventually lyrics are sung, the backing audio just explodes into a burst of incredible sound. It's like so ethereal. It transports you, the listener, to a place of euphoria and like eureka, like you feel so confident in your decision. Burst of inspiration, totally embodied in an illustrated sound. I will forever be indebted to Kevin Parker for the way this song, and honestly this whole album, makes me feel. It's a deeply positive yet haunting track and really, really, again, makes me feel. I really, really like this song. He's got such a pure desire. He just wants to get to where both of them are happy. If only there could be another way to do this, because it feels like murder to put your heart through this. I know I always said that I could never hurt you. Well, this is the very, very last time I'm ever going to. But I know that I'll be happier, and I know you will too. It's very beautiful, and again, extremely mature take. Kind of a profound thought, thinking of people in your life whom you wish you could turn back into strangers. I sure wish I could turn a few people in my life back into strangers, but I think if I were able to do that, if I had that power, I wouldn't have learned, obviously, through experiences, certain things, and experiences help you grow. Experiences help you mature and find true happiness. So it is a process and a painful one, but sadly something that here in this earth life we just got to do. Sometimes you got to cut out the things that are killing you, and it's hard, but eventually, as the song says, you'll be happier. I really love this track, and it's so beautiful. I definitely put it on the goated list, 10 out of 10. Track 6 is Gossip. It's a lyricless interlude, and it's a wonderful bridge from Eventually to The Less I Know the Better. Though it's just an interlude, it's one of the great standout tracks that really makes a statement on this album. It sort of feels like an anxious anticipation, I guess, of leading up to one of the most important tracks on this album, which is, of course, The Less I Know the Better. And it's great. It sort of feels like a in-between place in feeling. I truly, in my own headcanon, believe that the protagonist here telling the story, if it's a linear story, that is, which I kind of believe it is, I believe that he has broken up with her at this point and is now just kind of feeling like, okay, I did it. What next? I do place this track on my best of indie rock pop, and also my instrumental best of. I do have a separate list for instrumentals, just because sometimes I feel like listening to songs without words, okay? Next track is track 7, The Less I Know the Better. The Less I Know the Better is definitely a song you can tell that was heavily inspired by a specific event or series of events in Kevin's life, which I'm sure is the case. I just am not informed on that. Maybe he's talked about it in interviews, but I definitely take a lot out of this track. It's not a very fun track. It makes you feel kind of yucky. Makes me feel troubled. It's like a bottled feeling, the worst feeling of unrequited love, looking at someone that you deeply want to be with, you have a crush on, or maybe it's even deeper than that. You've full on love this person. You're wondering and worrying of a love who may be with the worst person possible. You can really tell that the singer, Kevin, really loves her dearly. The really, really longing track lyrics like, "Can't you see yourself by my side?" It's so wrenching and sad. It really reminds me, getting real for a moment, of a couple times during high school where I can remember specific days, specific events, specific environments where I saw this beautiful girl that I had a crush on getting absolutely hit on by other guys who were just like the worst guys possible. And how on earth could I have not one single chance with her? You know what I mean? It's so gut-wrenching. And I was very shy. I'm typically an introverted person at heart. So as a young teenager, I was very, very shy and awkward. And I was pretty much friends with this girl, but I was coming into a new town and didn't really know very many people. And so I was already kind of out of the loop anyway. But I do remember certain moments where I would see them interacting and just be absolutely nauseous. And it's not fun to remember. But we all go through it, I think. Unrequited love is certainly uncomfortable. I do really enjoy the lines in this song. It's just like, yeah, like you totally understand me. "Oh, my love, can't you see yourself by my side? I don't suppose you could convince your lover to change his mind. I was doing fine without you till I saw your face. Now I can't erase. Giving in to all his bull. Is this what you want? Is this really who you are? Like, come on. Oh, sweet darling, where he wants you. Say, come on, Superman, say your stupid line. Oh, it's so just unbelievably infuriating and frustrating thinking of moments like that. But looking back on high school days, it's fun to kind of wish that, you know, like things went better for you. But in the end, you really can see how life changes and how different pathways open up. And I could not be more grateful for how everything went. This track is absolutely a masterclass in this type of emotion, but I don't exactly consider it a greatest of all time personally. I put it on my best of indie rock pop. Track 8, Past Life, is kind of an interesting one. I guess I'll just go ahead and ruin it for everybody by saying that I've always imagined the song being sung by Kylo Ren talking about Rey from the Star Wars sequel movies, just because of how the voice mixing sounds. It's obviously Kevin Parker telling an experience and doing like a voice changer on it, but I can't get that image out of my head and it makes me laugh every time. But that's a little disrespectful to the song and the album, so disregard that, but now it's stuck in your head forever. Song to me is just a little strange. I don't really have any malice. It's not a bad song, but I don't really love it as much as the rest. I do like the chorus a lot. It sounds very, very powerful and energetic. This whole album does. Not a bad song at all, but not really something that speaks to me. I've never really had an experience like this where someone's come across a previous lover, and then just kind of has thoughts and feelings rekindle. But it's interesting, and I believe the female voice near the end is actually Kevin Parker's current wife, but I am not 100% sure on that. I will find a source if I can, and I will put that in the description. But yeah, Past Life's interesting. I definitely put it on my best indie rock pop, but yeah, I give it like an 8 out of 10. Track 9 is Disciples. I don't really have a whole lot to say about this one. To me, it's, to be honest, somewhat forgettable as an individual track, but for the album as a whole, it's a great track that keeps the sound and overall album rolling. Wonderful guitar and beautiful vocal mixing as usual. I give it a 9 out of 10 and throw it on the best of indie rock pop. Track 10 is I'm a Man. It's an interesting song. It's got a slow build up to an absolutely fantastic chorus. I love the vocals in this track. They are very well done. This song at first got some controversy. They were claiming that it was a sexist song without really looking at the lyrics, but when you do listen and to pay attention, he's just talking about how he's kind of like almost justifying himself, making an excuse for some of the things he does or says. Kind of like, well, can't fault me, I'm just a dumb man. We all have our faults, we have our weaknesses and shortcomings that create lots of setbacks, and I think that's really what he's talking about. He's not bragging about being a man, he's kind of like ragging on himself for being a man, which, it's interesting. I don't consider it one of my favorite tracks, but it's actually got a really, really interesting music video. It's like a really psychedelic and abstract story of a CGI modeled man going back and forth between his love life and his addictions. I do really love the contrasts and the icons and the symbols that appear in the figures' heads and like within the liminal spaces that derive from the album cover's striped liquid with the marble. It's beautiful, and I love surrealism, so I was all over that music video. Whoops, going back to The Less I Know the Better, I just realized I didn't talk about that music video, so I will real quick. It's a film by Canada, a short film. It's extremely artistic and symbolic. It does have some sex-fueled themes and lots of high school hormones in this video, so fair warning. I wish I had a warning, but unrequited love is like the saddest emotion as a youth, like I talked about. It's plagued very many people, and it's humiliating. It's very hard to see someone you have affection for or like puppy love for being with someone else. And the video explores many of those things, and it doesn't really show much real resolution, but just kind of hangs out in vibes with that feeling. So, pretty well done. Track 11, Reality in Motion. The track starts a little incomprehensible. The lyrics are very interesting. The song is a headbanger. It's got a great beat with an electric chorus and like a crazy tone shift. I love when a song can have like a very intense 180 of a tone shift. Absolutely epic. It's such a beautiful song to listen to. Talks really about there's a decision coming, you're heading for the deep end, but hey, it kind of has like a nice, like, let's just ride through things. Reality's in motion. Let's just kind of enjoy the ride. Trying to be patient, but I'm feeling ancient. Oh, that's such wonderful, clever lyrics. Fate can decide, I can ignore. That's really the essence of what this song is. Kind of just vibing through life while realizing that life happens to you, and sometimes it feels like that. You're going through all this crazy stuff, and you're just kind of sitting there like, oh boy, just riding through it, trying to enjoy my life. And it says the whole thing makes his heart run in circles and overdrive. It's kind of that feeling of it finally hits you like, oh, the reality sets in and you feel awful. He was closer than ever to feeling alive. It made his heart run in circles and overflow. And he was closer than ever to letting go. Very, very beautiful lyrics. This song's a top contender too. It's definitely a GOAT and a 10 out of 10. Track 12 is Love/Paranoia. It's an explicit track with a very obvious F-bomb. I just think it's funny that one feels like it comes out of nowhere, but there's been like one or two before this. Kevin Parker really heavily emphasized the vocals on this album. It's a little different than he did in the past with his previous albums. He really wanted the audience, the listener, to really understand the words and do their best to kind of enjoy both the lyrics and the instrumentals, which, I do. But it's funny how I get more into the instrumental, I think, in this particular case, because I didn't even realize there were curse words. I guess I didn't really catch a lot of the original lyrics on my first few listenings, and then a song kind of just stays the same in your head for a while sounding. So until you really dive into the lyrics, you're not really going to find those deeper meanings, deeper words. So I just thought that was funny to point out. I believe the track, Yes, I'm Changing, has an F-bomb too, but I couldn't have told you that unless I read the lyrics, which I finally did a little while ago, a couple years ago. It's interesting. Anyway, Love Paranoia. It really sounds like a 1980s track in style, kind of slow synth and beats with a darker and heavier emotion. It really is a feeling of lamenting and reflecting on love, apologetic, and as the title says, there's paranoia, a feeling of paranoia genuinely in this song. It's a gorgeous mixing of instrumentals overall. I do think that he's kind of arguing with himself, but also arguing with whether it's the real person or the idea of the person that he's in a relationship with or lack of. It's all kind of vague and up to your interpretation, but I think it's a great introspective track. Overall, I'll give it a 9 out of 10, and I throw it on the best of the indie rock pop list. Final track, track 13, New Person, Same Old Mistakes. It's a really dark sound from the start. It feels kind of like a mind's gears turning. I imagine someone pacing the floor, like trying to find a solution. A lot of self-reflection. It's a discussion with the self. It's a pleading with self to not make mistakes, a grapple with demons and insecurities. a tone shift really comes in like a light bulb turning on, kind of like at the 4-minute mark. It's an absolutely mind-blowing instrumental. I'm not very versed in instruments and all that, so I hope I'm not wrong by saying it's a synthesizer, but regardless, it's very beautiful. It turns very large scale and epic as the person finds direction and purpose. Absolutely power track to end off the album. I love his thoughts, and I love the way he phrases everything. Going back and forth, kind of grappling with himself. It's definitely a grappling song with your being a new person. You've got maturity, you've got lessons learned, but you're still making the same old mistakes because you are who you are. And it's a genuine struggle that I think everybody deals with, and it's very relatable. He's telling himself to stop before it's too late. Well, I don't care, I'm in love. He's trying to make decisions and find his way. Great cap to the album by saying, man, I know it's hard to digest, but maybe your story ain't so different from the rest. Really helps you to feel a sense of community with all the other people in the world who are having a similar experience. Sometimes you feel like you're all alone in these feelings, but you're really not. I know it seems wrong to accept, but you've got your demons and she's got her regrets. Man, I know it's hard to digest. A realization is as good as a guess, and I know it seems wrong to accept, but you've got your demons and she's got her regrets. You feel like a brand new person. How do you know it's right? Final line on the album, so how will I know that it's right? There's only really one way to find out, is to just keep on doing it. And this has just been interesting. I have always looked at this album as totally a breakup album, totally like all about love, but there's a lot on here that sort of starts that way, but it's kind of like a collection of miscellaneous thoughts. And I think Kevin definitely infused autobiographically a ton of things. He really has a lot of specifics and a lot of certain lines that I feel came straight from him. They did. But analyzing that is really cool. It's a peek into somebody's psyche, and he does an amazing job sharing that with us and putting them to incredible instrumentals. I have truly enjoyed Currents, and I thank Kevin Parker from the bottom of my heart for one of the best albums I've ever heard. Currents is a psychedelic groove. It's sonic and beautiful, euphoric and nostalgic, pulls on your heartstrings with bittersweet emotions. It has a striking sound, very ethereal, feels like a fever dream and an out-of-body experience. I have not had the pleasure to experience this, but I'm sure that seeing a live show from Tame Impala is an absolutely life-changing time, and I really hope that I can experience that one day. Released in 2015, and I've been listening to this album probably since 2018. I would say my top 5 songs ranked in order would be number 1, Eventually, number 2, The Moment, number 3, Let It Happen, number 4, Reality in Motion, and number 5, New Person, Same Old Mistakes. And I'll put the entire ranked list in the description. Thank you all so much for listening. My name is Dean, and this has been On the Brink. Check out my YouTube channel and my podcast on Spotify to hear more audio commentaries and breakdowns and rankings of films and music. You can find me on most socials, and you can please leave me recommendations in the comments. I love to find new media, especially music, so please keep in touch, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!